please take your seats. Please take your seats, please. You can take food and take your seats anyway. Okay. We have plenty of seats, please. We are going to start. I will ask you to stand now for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. So in this pledge, I like every word, especially one nation under God, and also with liberty and justice for all. You know, that's a beautiful country. We always say, God bless America. We always use our American flags everywhere, on our logo, even when we cover our tables, we use American flags. We love American flags. And this is our first general meeting. Last time was very successful grand opening. I hope all of our events will be very successful. We called our club Community First because we intend not just to promote and endorse Republican candidates and Republican elected officials, but also to advocate for our beautiful South and Brooklyn communities, to do community events. I believe it's very important that it's not just political club, but also community club. I hope everybody agrees with this. So I would start with Councilwoman Joann Ariola. She came first from Queens. You want? Senator? Okay. Listen, we just talked about American flag, and you know, people not just pledging allegiance to American flag, but ready to die for American flag. And I'm very proud to work for an amazing senator who spent 6 years in the U.S. Marine Corps fighting for American flag, standing for our national security, and then spent 27 years in NYPD, fighting for our safety, safety of our streets, safety of our city. And even after his retirement, Stephen Chen decided that he cannot just relax and pretend nothing going on in New York City. He wanted to be active in community life. He has amazing family, 2 beautiful daughters, and he's a very good father. I know it, I saw. And he decided to be actively involved in a school and was elected as a PTA president. And then he helped not just his school, but many, many other schools and other parents. And every time Senator Stephen Chen coming to school or meeting school teachers, they're saying, oh, we know you helped us, so many parents. In 2024, he decided to leave his retirement and to be even more active, not just in the life of South and Brooklyn, but in the life of the entire New York State. And he ran for New York State Senate in overwhelmingly Democratic district. And a lot of naysayers said, come on, this is 3-1 Democratic district, you're a Republican conservative, you stand no chance. Why are you even running? You know what? Not just Stephen Chen won this election, he won big. He received more than 55%, running against an incumbent who voted 100% with Democratic establishment on every single matter, on every single vote. In fact, she checked with her previous boss how to vote, because she didn't want to be on the wrong side anytime. So from 100% vote with Democrats, we got a senator who broke the Democratic supermajority in the New York State Senate. Not any longer, Democrats have 2/3. If for any reason governor putting a veto, they cannot say, oh, forget about it, we will overturn it, we have 2/3 in both chambers. It's not the case any longer. And the main reason why it's not the case any longer is Senator Stephen Chen. His election, by the way, he won in every possible community. He won in the Chinese American community. He won in the Russian speaking community. He won in the Pakistani community. He won in the Hispanic community. He won in the Italian community big time. He's an honorable Italian. Every time he's coming to Italian community event, they're like, oh my gosh, you're Italian, you're Italian. I witness this. So it is my privilege and honor, not just to work, but to introduce tonight, very good friend of our community, of this club, and of all decent people of New York City, person who dedicated his life to fight for our safety, security, and well-being and quality of life. Senator Stephen Chen.
Thank you, and, good evening. You know, wow. After that kind of speech, how do you follow up on that even? But you know, I know Ari, who is my senior advisor now, and he's been an instrumental contribution to my office as well as my campaign. It is my privilege to be standing here in front of you common sense folks. I want to thank you for taking your time and attending this event, because we're at the crossroads in New York State, as well as, of course, New York City and our own community. We're at the crossroads where we must make decisions. Which way do we go? There is no middle of the road anymore. And it's funny that Ari used to be a Democrat several years ago, because I'm going to tell you that story right now. 20 years ago, I was a Democrat. And there was nothing wrong with being a Democrat. And the reason why I somewhere along the way became a Republican is this. I am definitely not a Democrat anymore. Because the policies have shifted, the party has been hijacked. I go up to Albany and I discover exactly how dirty it is. You know, when the Times Union started attacking me just yesterday, and many articles before, I kind of feel honored and flattered, because I'm the one with the target on my face, on my back, and it's because they feel threatened by me. Yeah, I passed very little legislation. I introduced very little legislation. But you know what? And the reason is because no legislation is better than bad legislation. If you want to be taxed, if you want to pay, if you want to make it harder to conduct business and become harder to become a small homeowner and so forth, then you pass those bad legislations, because that's all I see is legislation that harm the common working folk, the homeowner, the small business owner, as well as the union people, hard-working citizens trying to raise a family, send their kids to good school. All I see is bad bills. And my primary goal right now, being in the minority, is to stop those bills. Medically assisted suicide. I stood up. I didn't argue the moral standpoints of this bill. What I did was argue the law enforcement standpoint. How long before a greedy grandson can go to the park and buy a pentobarbital, take it home and give it to grandpa, because he wants to speed him up to the grave so he can have the inheritance. And he's not going to get caught. And I'll tell you why. And I said this in the Senate floor. I rose up and I spoke from my experience. I said, when Viagra became available, it was 5 days before I could go into the park and buy one as a narcotics officer for $5. How long do you think this pentobarbital pill will become available in the park as an illicit drug? In the state of New York, we can't take one of these pills home to put our dogs down, and they want to let us do that with our grandpas and grandmas. And you know what? I managed to turn enough opinion on the Democrats to where they still passed it, but it was a close vote. It was like 33-30. That was enough for Governor Hochul to flinch and say, wait a minute, maybe it is a bad bill. Maybe I shouldn't sign it yet. And today, 7 months later, she still have not signed this bill. And that's because you really have to think about it. Me as a cop, I'll tell you right now, when I show up at an elderly person's death in home, I'll find the doctor, I'll call up the doctor. Doc, you have a patient here, 90 years old, she's sick, she's dead in her bedroom. Will you sign the death certificate? If he says yes, that's the end. I call the funeral home, and they remove the body. No autopsy is done, no toxicology. We will not know if that female or male has been murdered by somebody in their family. There will be no toxicology reports. And they said that the other side, the majority, the Democrats said, okay, you know what, there has not been a documented case of murder involving this pill. And I said, that's because it is really, truly the perfect crime. When you give it to an 85-year-old male who is sick, the doctor's going to sign the death certificate. I said it's a bad bill. I could consider it if you do this in a hospital under the supervision of 2 doctors who, at least one of them has been treating that particular patient for a couple of years. That would be a good bill. That would be a decent bill that I could probably see a good side of, but not the way it's written right now. And that's all they introduced in Albany are these bad bills, and I voted no on a lot of them. And when the budget talks, $54 million miraculously disappeared from our foundation aid. It was $595 million. I'm going to explain what that is in a minute. And by the next day, $54 million was missing. And once again, I rose up and I said, where's that $54 million? Destined for our kids, our schools, after school, music, art, programs that make the kids want to go to school, that enrich their lives, that make them enjoy school so they can learn. So they can say, I want to go to school because I want to play the violin. I want to go to school because I like art, because I like my music teacher. $54 million. Well, I found out where those $54 million went. It went to a defense fund for our migrants.
That's what they suspect.
And so I rose up and I spoke against it. I voted no on the budget. But you know what? It passed. So again, they attacked me on it because I passed little legislation. So I said, I'd rather pass zero, absolutely zero legislation than bad legislation. And that, to me, folks, is bad legislation. This 2026 happens to be an election year, and we can see the Democratic machine mobilizing. Me, I'm a thorn on their side. Like Ari said, I'm the guy that overturned the New York State Senate supermajority on the Democrats, where they walked all over the governor and threatened to override her vetoes. You better sign this, or we're just going to override you anyway. So the governor, saving herself some embarrassment, she would sign bad bills. But they can't do that anymore because I'm there. I'm there. They don't have the 2/3 necessary. I actually gave Governor Hochul a little bit of power back. But she should like me. But she doesn't. She doesn't because on election night this past November, 8 swastikas showed up in my district. I got in front of News 12 and I yelled and I screamed and I said, you lefties that endorse this guy, you own this. There'll be a press conference at 3 o'clock in front of my office or Senator Sam Sutton's office. And you know what? By 3 o'clock, she flew down here by helicopter because she didn't want to be embarrassed. She stood next to me to defend herself. And all she said was, I'm going to give you guys an extra $20 million for security. That's very meaningless when it comes to anti-Semitism. Throughout the history of mankind, we fought. We fought over dirt, we fought over land. Do we have to do that right here in America? For our entire history of 250 years, we're celebrating our 250th anniversary this year. For our entire history here, we have never fought like this. Why can't we live in harmony? There's plenty of space. There's plenty of resources for everybody. There's no need to fight here. And that's what I'm concerned about. Public safety, I'm going to address as we walk into Albany this session. In fact, I was the one chosen by the Republican Party to inform Governor Hochul yesterday. You see it on my Facebook page. I went into her office and I informed Governor Hochul that the Senate Republican Conference is ready for session. Thank you, Governor. We look forward to working with you. What I really meant was, I look forward to battling you. So don't be surprised. Next week is the State of the State speech. And there is a little surprise that I have for everyone, so I urge everybody to watch Governor Hochul's State of the State speech and to watch the rebuttal after the speech. You know, like Bernie Sanders rebutted Donald Trump, right? Somebody very special is going to rebut Governor Hochul. But anyway, so I don't want to waste everybody's time. I know Joann over there, our city councilwoman, who I support very much, is waiting to speak. Without further ado, let me introduce City Councilwoman Joann Ariola.
So proud to have you up in the Senate.
Thank you.
So proud to have you fighting for each and every person in this room. and as a fellow common sense warrior, the same as I am in the city council. Oh, I always like nice things about me to be said. Go ahead.
I will be quick. Of course, everybody knows everybody, but I will say a few words about Councilwoman Joann Ariola. She's a very dear friend of mine, and we worked together when I was councilman, of course. But what I can say that Joann Ariola is a fighter. She fights for all communities. She always saying like it is. She is standing up right now to Mayor Montani. She is saying in City Council that private property is a suckered American dream. And you know, in December, Tory council members voted for so-called Community Opportunity Purchase Act, basically saying that homeowners in New York City don't know what to do with their properties. They wanted to give it to government. Government knows better. HPD knows better. They know non-for-profits. Better non-for-profits. Better than anybody who wants to buy from you. Government knows better. And guess who voted against it? Tory people voted for it out of 51. And Mayor Adams on December 31st vetoed the legislation, meaning they don't have so far 2/3 to overturn his veto. But one of the strongest opponents was Councilwoman Joann Ariola, and by the way, Senator Steve Chen and Mr. Chanta Senator went to defeat Gavilov, and he also stood, I believe, our board member, Karen Brown also was there at this press conference against COPA. It's called COPA. They call it Community Opportunity Purchase Act. And we call it Communist Opportunity Purchase Act. Because we want to take away property rights from homeowners and to give it to government decision. And then we need to wait for several months, up to 180 days, what non-for-profit wants to buy your house. What is it? I came to America, last time I checked. This is the most important sucker thing in America, property rights, you know, like Bill of Rights, like market economy, capitalism. I never imagined to come to New York and to be worried about antisemitism, property rights, right to speak, right to visit house of worship. I know Councilwoman Areola has a legislation about it, you know, because our new mayor in one day said, you don't have right to walk safely into your house of worship. So, also I would like to thank Councilwoman Joann Ariola for being a leader. She was a chairwoman of the Committee of Fire Safety. And because of her, our firefighters, our EMS workers, and all of us feel safer today because she passed very important legislation. She's going to talk about it as well. So, let's greet and welcome Councilwoman Joann Ariola from Queens. Thank you so much.
And you're right, it's hard to live up to how he pumped us up, but I will try and do my best. So we have a new mayor. And when people ask me, how do you think the mayor's doing? I say, well, the first step was a misstep. Because when he revoked, he wanted to revoke 12 executive orders, but he whittled it down to 9 executive orders. The most egregious were against the Jewish community. He revoked the executive order that IRA, which is the International Holocaust way of, excuse me?
Definition of antisemitism.
Yeah, what they do is it provides for the definition of anti-Semitism, and also it is against BDS. And why would he do that? Why would he revoke those 2 executive orders which have never been more important to our Jewish communities?
And safety zones around.
And the safety. So, what happened is don't stop interrupting me, Ari. Sorry. No, that's fine, it's okay. So what he rebutted with, when asked at a press conference, when he was introducing Sia Weaver, who, by the way, believes that white people shouldn't own homes, it's racist. Unbelievable. And he was asked about, revoking those. He said, well, we have a mayor's office of anti-Semitism. And that's true. It was opened during his predecessor's administration. But let me tell you that Back when Eric Adams opened it, there was one person inside that office. It is not functioning. And there is still that same one person inside that office, and it is not functioning. And when we have swastikas in our district, which we have, like the senator just mentioned, you know about that office to call? I don't call them. Because it's just a shame. And that's what's happening. And the things that Mayor Mamdani promises, like free buses. Kathy Hochul and the MTA raised the price on buses 3 days after he was sworn in. That's just crazy. Affordability. Affordability, freezing the rent. Freezing the rent is doing what? Causing people to live in worse conditions because the landlords cannot afford to fix or the apartments that are already there. He recently held a press conference in support of community-based organizations being landlords in buildings. And he made another appointment that day of someone else in his cabinet. That very building that he stood in and lauded that community-based organization as running so well had over 80 violations open with the Department of Buildings. So somebody's not doing their homework. Because what are you going to do? Who gives the money to the CBOs? We do. Your taxpayer dollars. We decide who's going to get funding with your taxpayer dollars. So they're getting paid on the front end from the city, on the back end from the city, and there's still violations. That's a scam. That is literally corruption. And yet small landlords are being priced out. And when they talk about affordability, when they say, well, you can make basements into apartments now, the amount of regulations to make that basement apartment qualify for rental would cause a homeowner to rent it for no less than $3,000 a month. Is that really affordable? When they made affordable apartments throughout Manhattan, they made them into studios. How does that help our homeless families? How does that help them? Nothing that's being done is to help you, me, or anyone that's in need. It's to help greedy developers, greedy community-based organizations, not all. But it's never for us. And that's why when we work on our budget and give money, our discretionary money and initiative money or delegation money, I always make sure that every penny is spent within the district. Because that's their taxpayer dollars. It doesn't go to anything and anyone but them. And the senator is right. It is very difficult for Republicans to pass legislation in the city of New York. I was very lucky to be able to pass some very important legislation about fire and emergency management. Why? Because it had to do with the health and well-being of firefighters. Who could turn their backs on that? And what the bill is people don't know, is that the bunker gear that firefighters wear has something called PFAS in it. It's a liquid which makes their bunker gear fire retardant and water resistant. But it's a carcinogenic. And they've known for decades, but they've never done anything to phase out that bunker gear, where in other states they have. So there is an alternative. They just haven't done anything. So the bills that we were able to pass, my amazing chief of staff, she does all our legislative work as well. She put together a package of legislation. We introduced it, and it did pass. So by 2028, the bunker gear must be swapped out. They must have an exchange program. And in addition, I was unhappy this summer when I heard that our fire rigs, some of them were at 300 degrees inside the fire rig because the air conditioning wasn't working. And our rigs have no maintenance because we're really depleted for our rigs. So we have another bill that passed that said that it has to be maintained, and they have to tell us, they have to report to the city council on how many they're repairing, and it has to be done on a yearly basis, and that would be enacted immediately. But why are we legislating what should be done anyway? other legislation was DOT. How many times you wake up and all of a sudden you got a bus lane in front of your store? Or you have a bike lane?
City bike.
Well, a city bike. So the legislation that I passed was it's common sense. It's for the DOT to notify a local firehouse before they change the configuration of a street and put in a bike lane or close the street off for no cars. You must not just notify the fire department, the local firehouse. And right now, on 31st Avenue in Astoria, we were out there not too long ago. We met with a community group because the DOT was in violation of that law. And the community group, their civic association, brought it to court and won. So my phone rang yesterday. I'm at City Hall. Hi, I'm from the mayor's office. This is Mayor Mamdani's office. We just wanted you to know that we're appealing that decision for the bike lane on 31st Avenue. I didn't know how polite could that be? That they'd call and notify me. But how dare they? So you're saying it's okay to be in opposition of a law that was passed by the city council. A lot of times our laws, they think, or I don't know, maybe they think that we just write them on with disappearing ink. No, it is a law. We can and do legislate, but we shouldn't have to. When it came to the EMS workers getting pay parity, there was legislation that bandied about. It never did get anywhere, but again, why are we having to legislate that? And I can't tell you that this administration, it's not yet formed, so we don't know really what's happening. But I went to the installation of the new fire commissioner for the FDNY, Lillian Bonsignor, and I saw First Deputy Mayor there, and I grabbed him right away. And I said, and I had Andy Ansborough from the United Federation of Firefighters. I had him there and said, Andy, come over here, tell him what the previous mayor promised. That he would put a 5th firefighter in 20 of the busiest houses. And guess what? He packed up his stuff from his desk and left, and it never got passed. Never got passed. Just like the lie continues that our unvaccinated municipal workers can get their jobs back. That was another lie that was told. We have been fighting for the Common Sense Caucus and the Republican delegation to get our workers back to work. We need our workers back at work. There's no need for new hires. We have able-bodied, talented, and professional and knowledgeable people to go back to the fire department, police department, Department of Education, every form of government. But they always leave a loophole that gives these poor people hope, and then they smash them. And it's not fair. Do I think it's going to change? I don't think it's going to change. Because everybody here is an immigrant, whether it was your grandparents, great-grandparents, or yourselves. Came here for the American dream. Came here to open up a business. Came here to run for office. Came here, do you think my great-grandparents right now are looking down saying, I can't believe Teresa's daughter is a city council member. When they came here, they had nothing. Their sons became sanitation workers. You would have thought they became the president of the United States. But they also, immigrants come and they open up stores, fruit stores, candy stores, coffee shops. This mayor wants to make them all government owned. That is pure communism. Communism takes over your buildings. Communism takes over your businesses. Communism is what's going to be taught. Wait till you see what the new chancellor brings. Communism into the classroom. We have a major fight in front of us. But people like the senator and myself, we're up for it. This is why we got elected. This is why you elected us. Because you know we're going to fight back. And the way we really are going to change things is electing more people like us that are of bright minds. We're never going to start. And we were going to start by electing more people to help the senator in the Senate. More people to help. I have it in my own district, in District 23 for the Assembly. The Assemblywoman decided not to run again. And that is the seat that we're going to work damn hard to pick up. And that's another supermajority. But that's a seat that we feel we can pick up. But there'll be seats all over the place for Senate and Assembly. And we're going to put good candidates up. But you know what the cherry on top of the cake will be? When we take the gubernatorial executive office. That's when New York will change. That's when your bills will pass. That's when you will once again be able to say, we will have bail reform that's necessary and not hurting us. No more cashless bail because people are running around. We had a fellow beat a man almost to death in District 19, and he is facing charges, but nowhere in that whole paragraph did I see that there was bail set. And I read it over and over and over again. I didn't see bail. So, yes, we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're up for it. We're 5 now in the Republican caucus, and we're 8 in the Common Sense caucus. And I'm sorry it didn't grow the way it should have in the last election cycle. But a lot of people, even from our own party, deviated and went with a Democrat. And that hurt us. That hurt us because it hurt the bottom of the ticket, the down ballot. That's who paid the price of the fear that Cuomo could beat Mamdani, is the down ballot. And that's why we're at 5 when we should have been at least 9. And Christie wasn't reelected, and that's a tremendous loss. So, clubs like this, people like Ari, people like your board, so dedicated, people who come out tonight's a beautiful night, but most of them were cold. It's the coldest December ever. And now we're getting a little warmth in January, but continue to come out. Continue to tell your friends. Continue to make them come out with you. And tell them this is not about any type of party. This is about our way of life, our freedom being taken from us. And I'll end with this. There has never been a Muslim Heritage Month. Never. There's no resolution for that. There's resolutions for lots of stuff. But there wasn't. And again, you want to light City Hall up green, that's fine. But that Freedom Tower should never be anything but red, white, and blue. So the next day, I put in 2 pieces of legislation. One was to combat the revocation of Executive Order 61, which protects people inside of houses of worship from protesters outside. They need to be 15 to 50 feet away from the entrance of a house of worship. And then people should not be afraid to worship. And I wanted a resolution for National Catholic Month. I was like, well, I guess, we can all have a month. And I'm sure that we'll do all different religions. But because, this is crazy, we cannot allow ourselves to be canceled. Canceled because we're not Muslim. Canceled and then called Islamophobic. Canceled because we are a certain color. Canceled because we own a home. Canceled because we own a business. The canceling is over. We want to cancel the canceling. God bless all of you. God bless you, Ari, and everybody who comes And if you run before, run again. I ran for 20 years before I won. True story. 20 years. I never gave up. I still came to meetings just like you're doing right now. You're doing the right thing.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I would like to add that Joann Ariola for many years was a leader of Queen's Republican Party, so she knows something about leadership in the Republican Party. I would like to also add that current mayor appointed a new person advocating for tenants. It's a new office, tenants advocate, because tenants have no advocates in New York City supposedly. But this advocate, from the very beginning, made clear that all landlords, especially white ones, are the worst of the worst, and she blasted home ownership as a racism. Meanwhile, both of her parents are homeowners. Her mother owns a very expensive house in Nashville. Her father is a property owner. So when she's blasting home ownership, and then she started to cry when she was asked about it, she was crying because she was caught on a lie, which is like absurd, you know, like so blasting all homeowners only because they worked so hard to buy a house. Many people said this is the American dream, and now like the new mayor, he defended her today, by the way. He said, no, she is right. That was old tweets. By the way, so many of his new appointees deleting the old tweets, so many of these tweets and statements, meaning he appointed everyone for the wrong reason. He doesn't believe in the meritocracy, in the merit-based promotion, and merit-based education. By the way, he doesn't like gifted and talented programs. And as a father of a son who graduated from Cunningham School, gifted and talented program, who graduated, who entered the best exam, SAT exam, and graduated from Brooklyn Tech High School, and then graduated from Vanderbilt University, and we came to America with no English and no money, and now he's a very successful business professional. I'm talking about my own son. I can tell you that Mayor Mamdani is so wrong. He lives in some kind of different country. I came to America to achieve my dream by working hard, by following the rules, and studying hard as well. I studied full-time and worked full-time at the same time, myself. And my son achieved everything in America only by working hard and studying hard, you know. And he's still working very hard, like 14, 16 hours a day, even now. So nothing fell from the sky for my son. Nothing came, you know, like nobody gave him inheritance, you know. He was studying and working and studying. And now he has to be punished for it? Like recently someone on my Facebook started to defend all of this nonsense and said, don't worry, Mamdani just asking Hochul to raise state income tax just by 2 percentage points. Why are you attacking him? And it's only for wealthy people to begin with. We already have a millionaire's tax in New York State. Already today, people who are making more than $1 million paying higher income tax in New York State than everybody else. But what people don't realize, we have a federal income tax, state income tax, city income tax, Medicare tax, Social Security tax, property tax, sales tax, and I can spend a few more hours about all of these taxes. So 2% here, 3% here, and then people are surprised why working class and middle class and people who achieve their American dream here in New York considering moving to other states. We're not moving anywhere. I'm not moving anywhere. We're fighting here in New York City to make our city better and to fight these absurd socialist ideas, communist ideas. America is a capitalist country based on merit-based, you know, like on success, entrepreneurship, creativity, competition. Competition is good, it's not bad. Not everybody should be equally poor, like in the former Soviet Union. We don't need these government-run food stores. I remember these huge lines in Minsk. I came from Minsk, Belarus. I still remember these huge lines. I still remember how my own son was born in Minsk. He was 10 months old when we came to America, and we did not have a formula in a city of 2 million people, capital of Belarus. In 1992, I couldn't buy formula in the store, baby formula. I had to run all over the city like a chicken. I barely found one lady, she just came back from Poland, and she bought baby formula for my, and I asked her, can I buy it for my son? Do you want something like this here in New York City? And if you say it's not going to happen, Ari is exaggerating, you know, like, what are you talking about? Like this guy who criticized me said, Ari, like, forget about Soviet Union. It's never going to happen in America. You know what? You never know. If we don't fight, if we allow the socialists, it all started with one socialist, two socialists. How many socialists officially, publicly socialists, right now we have in New York City Council? Like 6.
Oh no, with the DSA.
Officially, DSA members.
DSA, we have about 8.
Yeah, 8 already. Officially socialists. How many unofficial socialists we have?
18.
Santiniers who introduced the legislation to take away your property rights. She's a socialist in my opinion, because she wants to take our houses away, you know, like so. And why in education, in schools, we cannot be competitive. Like I still remember when I was councilman, and the lady came to me from Marlborough houses, Chinese American lady, and she said that principal of the school is afraid to give any longer to do honor rolls for all students. I said, why? Because my daughter is constantly getting something, and many people who are getting are Asian Americans, and Russian Americans, and Italian Americans, and some parents are upset because it's discriminatory and racist. I said, one second, is he giving awards and putting everybody on honor roll, people like students who are great achievers? She said, yes. I said, what the problem? But the problems are of the wrong race. They're like all wrong race. There should be different race. I said, one second. But did he decide to give them awards and certificates because they're Italians? Because they're Chinese? She said, no. He decided to cancel the whole ceremony. So instead of bringing everybody up, instead of making sure that everybody is successful, we are putting people down, and we are making sure everybody is again equally poor, equally unsuccessful, equally low performance schools. Why are we fearing all of these gifted and talented programs? Because socialists saying, one second, someone will be successful and someone will be upset. But why my son has to study whole summer when someone else is just like smoking marijuana on a bench and doing absolutely nothing? They should achieve different results. One should be in a Brooklyn Tech and someone else should be not in a Brooklyn Tech, because this person did not do anything during the summertime. This person did not study. Yeah, like someone getting, imagine everybody in the Olympics getting gold medals, you know, like for nothing. You know. So, exactly. So my point is hard work. I believe in hard work. I work very hard. Everybody here knows what I'm talking about. So we need to praise hard workers. We need to give them everybody an equal chance, regardless of their like nationality, ethnicity, race, you know, like accent. No, like, yes, it's New York City, for God's sake. That's the whole purpose of New York City. And if you can make it there, you can make it everywhere, you know. So why our mayor didn't listen to Frank Sinatra? So I talk a lot, so I will give a chance to speak to someone else. So on our program, you talked about immigrants, Councilwoman, you talked about immigrant city of New York. I would like to give a chance to speak to the person who achieved everything by hard work. And by the way, we're planning to do it at every club meeting, to give a chance to speak to someone who is successful, who achieved something by hard work, education, following the rules. I wanted to introduce Mark Gavrilov, who is a very successful financial advisor. He has a very good financial firm, consultant firm, called Gavrilov Wealth Management on Neptune Avenue, near Coney Island Avenue. I met Mark during the pandemic. He did not talk to me about finances or advice or anything like this. He decided to take upon himself to help every possible hospital in New York City, all of these medical workers, all of these nurses, and everybody to get hot coffee, donuts, cupcakes, all kinds of cookies, all kinds of food. First to Coney Island Hospital, then to Brookdale Hospital, then to Maimonides Hospital, then in Manhattan hospitals. I asked him, why are you doing all of this? He said, what do you mean? These people work so hard, we need to support our medical workers. They're heroes. That's how I met Mark Gavrilov. I didn't know what he was doing for a living. He's also a successful business professional. So I wanted to give you a chance to speak to Mark Gavrilov, Gavrilov Wealth Management. He will talk about his company and give you a little bit financial advice. Mark Gavrilov, please. Very generous person. Very, very generous.